Our hot topic today is discussing when religion and culture clash. We took a story earlier today about a king in Ondo State that is having issues because of his religion and the cultural requirements of his stool. And I could also reference the Ondo of Ife when he came in as king. You know, initially he came across as this Christian new Oni, you know, modern Oni who had one wife, and then now we've seen years down the line he's had to marry multiple wives. We've seen various stories of Oba saying having to make a decision based on culture versus religion. What are your thoughts on this? Do we abscond our religious practices for our modern religion, or can we find a balance? That's the conversation. You can call us on 081-270-536-870-091390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view, TVC Connect tweet. I'll let Mariam give us a summary of, because she took the story earlier, so tell us exactly what happened.
So I took the story earlier on, and this happened in Ondo State. So a traditional monarch, he's the Ikun Akoko, he's the Onikun of Ikun, and the people in his community are accusing him of the death of their promising sons and daughters since he became their monarch for 19 years. They said he didn't do the traditional rites that someone who is a traditional ruler should have taken, because he came as a born-again Christian. And because of his failure to perform those rites, their sons and daughters that are promising in that community are losing their lives. And his response was, you know, I pray with you people, and there's so many other things that I have done for this community. But I guess, as Mariah said, you know, what's the balance? There's a dilemma now between... so I think the question is, which one is the higher power? Is it the Christian God or the traditional God and the traditional rites?
Is it really a question of which one is the higher power?
I think so.
I think it's a question of which belief is stronger in the hearts of the villagers. Because what the villagers believe would bring them peace and prosperity in their community is for the Oba to comply with the traditional and cultural acts. And since the Oba did not comply, their beliefs are so strong that the reason they are suffering misfortune or deaths of people in their community is because the Oba did not fulfill the cultural rights. And so they feel maybe if he goes, another Oba comes in, and the Oba does the traditional things, peace will reign.
So I say it's not about your personal conviction. It's about the people's conviction.
About facts. It's not even about facts. This is just about a belief system. This is about a people that believe culture is what will help us, and this man is not following culture. So if we're having it's like, I believe that if I hit my left leg, something bad might happen. So if I hit my left leg, something bad happens. Oh, is that belief? So that's what I feel it is. But it's a challenge trying to decide what is the most important thing for Nigerians. Because this Oba has said that based on his track record, he has done a lot for the community in terms of providing them access to help, in terms of being a good leader. So, but if they don't believe that's of value to them, how do you now deal with people? Because you can only give them what they feel they want. You cannot give them what they feel they don't need. Nima.
You're correct, Tokwe, because most of this, as you said, is not based on facts. It's a belief system. That's why it's painful that, you know, when you want to ascend the throne of your ancestors and you plan to deviate from the path of your ancestors, you still have to walk the path they walk to that throne. So first of all, ascend that throne. And when you get on the throne, if changing the ways of your ancestors must happen, you must have to shift minds by educating the people. And so the Oba, yes, might have done a lot of things for his people, but he didn't do anything to change their minds. He did not preach whatever it is, a new religion he practiced. He did not, you know, sell that to the people. So they remained in their ways, and you cannot be at par with the people you're guiding. And I see this because where I'm from, in Edo State, we are largely Muslims. We are predominantly Muslims. Our cultures are now so embedded in Islam that you would never believe it was in the center of Edo State. Over generations, even before the present king, kings continue to change mindsets of people. In the past, when families were doing their burials, you will see all families come out, and the burial is not the party people do in Lagos. It's very expensive as what you do, but it's very core in the what they call traditions. You go into families here, you pay for this, you pay for all of that. But to change the mindset, they first of all brought in the janaza burial that Islam would bring. And so the families mixed it and continue to find a way to do their... that is not party, it's rites. So they continue to do the burial rites underneath. And so some families, as much as their kids, their children, in my own family, for instance, when you get to my place, Akokia family, we continue to sponsor sons and daughters from that family to Islamic schools across the world. When I went to there, I saw my cousin, and he was already an Hafiz. So those were the things my grandfather wanted for his children and grandchildren. So my dad too went to such a school. Was your own... Education was the way. So when you're breaking out as Islamic education. Yes, as the person of knowledge. My father was the first my grandfather sent to gain Islamic education. He couldn't finish it up. And so he had broken his family out of that. And before my father passed, he made sure that the burial, those rites are exempted. He continued to say it and made sure on his own. Every family member knew. So it's not possible that I will be made to carry out those rites. Okay, because somebody had done the work.
Let me bring in a new angle to this, because aside from even the culture, there's a part of governance. We bring religion. You want to be swearing the president, they're swearing with the Bible or the Quran. We bring in religion. Even I tell people that most of our governors are refusing to sign the death penalty because many of them are now very compassionate. Maybe they are Christians, they are Muslims, it's not the right. So our prisons are so full because a governor cannot just say, kill him, because he's done. So the point is that how far should religion go? Because in this culture now, in the manner of culture, how far should we bring, where should we stop religion when it comes to culture and even probably governance? Should our conviction as a Muslim or a Christian affect our role in culture, affect our role in governance? Because we see it play out in almost everything we do. Any meeting you want to do, you start with a prayer. But half of them, they're there to share money or to go against. So should we continue to do that, or should we just face the reality of who we are as a people?
I think, when we look at it like traditionally in our local communities, we want to paint Nigeria with a brush of all Muslims or all Christians. But the further you go into smaller communities, they have a long tradition or long practice of their religion. And what most of them will try to do is maybe because of education and, leaving your community, you try to work it, side by side. You find people that when they leave their communities, maybe going to the city, they will be Christians or they'll be Muslims, but when they go back, they still practice, what they are known for, their traditional rites for anything, marriages. Some people will do whatever white wedding you want them to do here, but when they go back to their village, there's some traditional rites. So for me, I think the question would be, if you were to be made a traditional ruler and you are aware of the traditional rites. I know usually with monarchies like this, it's a family tradition. So one person dies, the other person automatically sits on that seat. Why don't you just take yourself out of it? Because this is the expectations of your people. And it's also, if you decide to put yourself in there with your Christianity or your Islam, then be ready to face the backlash.
Yes.
And so we've had, not just in Nigeria, just many other monarchies all across the world. There are some who have tried to change the mindset, as you were talking about, Nima, tried to change the mindset. Some of them succeeded, some were killed, some were chased out, and eventually mindsets were changed. But the question is, why do we want to change the mindset? Why are we choosing Christianity over traditional beliefs? Do we truly believe that these traditional beliefs are devilish? We're talking, for me, this is such a broad topic because we're talking about colonialism, slavery. If Waki was here, she would insist that, we have our own traditional beliefs, and because we have forgotten who we are, where we are from, we're just a scattered people.
So this brings me now, Mariam, to recently, we're talking about the Shaun of Ogbomoso, one of the few candidates being considered. One is a pastor of the RCCG, and I know him very well. Pastor Gandhi is a proper pastor. Not that they go come. Now, if Pastor Gandhi indeed becomes the Shaun of Ogbomoso,
how would they do the traditional rites?
How would he? I mean, this is the friction we're saying. This is the conflict. Can we merge it? If we're merging it, could it affect the people? Because the people are saying, this is who we are. But so how do we merge it?
So historically, people have evolved over time, consistently. Some died for this evolution to take place. You know, some people will say, I feel so strongly in my spirit that as a Christian, I want to change this community, and it might mean that you die, you know, but you're willing, you believe so much in that, your faith and your belief, that you will sacrifice yourself. Some other Christians who feel like, my faith does not tally with this, I'm not going to do it, I will step out. There's no right or wrong answer on how you go about it. But understand that if you're going to be fighting a belief system, you are going to fight a very tough battle. People would die on that journey of saying, this is what I believed all my life. There are battles you should not fight, personally. I will not impose my belief on anybody. I would feel that I would exemplify my faith in such a way that it would inspire you to come into my faith. I don't believe in imposition of faith. I don't believe in imposition of beliefs. I don't believe you need to fight people for what they believe in. I believe that you need to be an influencer, a role model. That's the right way. So now this is your pastor. This is your pastor.
This is easy conversation.
So this is your pastor now that is in the line for
culture.
becoming, culturally in the line to become the Shonwu of Ogbomoso. In my own opinion, it's not something that you would even consider. The moment they say, oh, I'm in the line, tell them, I'm a Christian. If you put me in the line, I am going to carry out my ruling as a Christian. If you are not okay with it, back out. The current Olu of Warri went into that position. It was a battle, but he went as a Christian. And it was not anything anybody did not know. The entire process of him becoming
Christians already. You're missing the point.
The entire process of him becoming the Oba or the Olu of Warri was not that wasn't the usual system.
The
way he became the Olu of Warri was not the system they used to do before. Everybody that had new knowledge of history said that he changed the way it was done. He worshipped God in the Christian way, not in the Ishekiri way. And that was his own system that had been announced to them before. Now, the people of Warri cannot come and say he should not worship God again, because they knew who he was before. So these village boys, the community people in this village, they knew who this man was. He didn't say he was not a Christian. When he was becoming the Oba, all of them probably knew this man was a Christian. Why did they suddenly want, after choosing a Christian, that he would suddenly become a traditional ruler?
There's a saying in Yoruba land, Orisha bi olegbemi, shemi bo se bami. Now, he brought a faith that they believe is not working for them. Maybe at the time they allowed him, they thought it would work. Now, we've all established here that if they don't believe in that faith, it might not work for them. But they thought, let him come and see if there will be a difference. This time is going to be short, because that difference did not happen. I wanted to establish that most times when we look at our royal fathers, we now see them as ceremonial. In those days, they were administrations with their own policies and their own methods and their own ways. And they came in and things will change. Per Obas, you will see each Oba with their differences. They'll say, in the times of Oba Dynasty the first, or Oba Dynasty the second, I'm talking of my forefathers from my mother's side now, how things were done. Not everything was copied, because you were supposed to come in with your own level of thinking that you want to change and your own faith. For my grandfather, for instance, in the beginning when he lost most of his kids, they were supposed to be abikus. But over time he thought, okay, if I go to this new faith, things will be different. And things started to be different for him. And he thought, every of my child must follow Islam and do the right thing. So it is about how people see things. Eventually.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
I've been trying to get you to make for so many years.
Glad to have you.
I'm the first time for
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. On this particular topic, is an interwoven thing. To me, religion and culture, they are two different things for me. Most times, we Africans, we mix the two together. I'll try to make reference to when they were burying Queen Elizabeth. If you watch at the last point of the whole ceremony, it was taken to a particular church. And that was the end what it was. What happened after that particular time, we don't know. Bring it to Africa. We Africans want to practice Christianity. At the same time, want to maintain our ancestral kind of belief. Me, as a Christian, if I'm going to be a Christian, in my house we have Christians, Muslims, traditional worshippers. In my family, Catholicism. So if we are all allowed to practice our own religion based on your own view, the bottom line of every religion is love.
Right.
Bottom line of every religion is acceptance of the other person.
Okay. Thank you very much, Festus. You know, I was referencing the Ondo of Ife recently when he said that he tried to do his own things, but it fell on his face. That there are people here that have lived here for many, many years. He said there are 800 people living in the palace. There are people here at least 100 years old that have passed culture. So he couldn't just go ahead with what he wanted to do. He had to subject himself to the culture or to the practices that are there. So at some point, he had to decide, like, listen, I need to bring in this. I mean, the instruction is bring in more ways. He adhered to it. So we might have the best of intentions as a Muslim or as a Christian coming into a monarch. But where do we draw the line into my conviction and then what I'm supposed to do?
You know, for a long time, a lot of times, one would hear someone take up a traditional stool, who would question, I thought he's Christian, or I thought he's Muslim, why is he going home? But we have this new breed who think that they can work it out, you know, and people would question. In fact, now we don't question it anymore because we think we can work it out. And I do not think that there's a strong divide between religion and culture. It sort of intermingles. Christianity says be monogamous, marry one wife, never divorce, and things like that. And then you come into a traditional stool that expects you to marry so many wives. So it's cultural because, you know, you can't say, I insist on being a monogamy, and then there are some rights that maybe many wives are supposed to play, and they are unable to do it. And so the example of the Oni, if we have people who are supposed to be on the traditional stool and they're supposed to cut, shed blood of an animal before some gods or before a shrine, you cannot insist that because I'm Christian, you know, I would not do those things. And for me, it should be, I will not even participate, I will not even sit on the stool because this does not align with my beliefs. But then if I'm part of this, I have to do it. But we have also seen where people have decided, I will sit on this stool and make the difference that needs to be made. I'll sit on this, I'll call my own. And then if it happens that your reign is successful, people will refer to it and say, okay, he's God, then it's my God, and things like that. So it just happens for this particular monarch. Maybe it's not working. There's so many challenges around the world anyway. So it's just
Albert from Abuja, and I'll come to you. Albert, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
You're live. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you for such a strategic discourse. Honestly, this is traditional and exactly means to what the cleansing of our society, more like an orientation. The two topics, yes, the two subjects, they are religion and culture, are two distinct things. But simply put, culture says what? The life of a people defines the life of people. Religion is what? A practice of belief, which is what? Personal conviction. So, if this is so paramount to him, the religion, not to conflict in the first place, he should not have taken up to that seat if he cannot. Otherwise, as long as you're on that seat, it doesn't matter religion. It doesn't matter. I don't know what religion he is. They say a Christian, of course. Not to start to talk about the men or how many were they married. Whichever way, your culture is a respect to the way of life of the people that live here. It doesn't stop you from going personally in your home, in your heart, cultivating your personal conviction.
Thank you, Albert. I think Albert was able to answer the question for us. Was he saying religion is personal? So me, I worship my God, but culture is different. It's the practice of the people. So if I'm a king and I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I do my prayers to my own God. But if I have to rule over a community, this is what is expected. So the practice of you have to kill this animal, you have to
let's leave killing of
practice. The practice I have to do to pretend over this community.
Okay, so let's even remove killing of animals. Some people may even put that aside. How about being Christian? You know that there's only one God and you're not meant to worship any other God. But then we have cultures that worship the moon. There's a new moon festival. Everybody comes out and you perform rites to accommodate that. How do you now do it as a Christian leader, as a Christian traditional ruler? do you now tell your people, I'm not going to join in this? And for them, their belief, their culture, the belief in this is that when we perform the rites, then we'll have a good harvest. And then you don't perform it. And then you don't have a good harvest. And then what do you say? Because your own God stopped you. You know, so for me, it's very tricky.
For you, it's either or.
The direct path is to say, I am not doing, and step out. When you begin to compromise the beliefs and your personal beliefs and faith, when you begin to compromise it because of the stool, then I feel like you are already a compromising person. That if you come into the place and say, I'm a Christian, this is my belief, this is my faith, then I become a king. I'm not going to do it, then suddenly you start doing it. Then I don't believe what you're saying anymore, because you have taken your word, you've compromised. When you want to stand on your faith, you must be willing to lose your life on that journey, because that's the journey of being a, what do you call it, patriot or pariah? I'm trying to get the right word they use, when people become a saint because they died on their beliefs. They died because this is what I believe in, and I don't care. Matter. You die because of what you believe in. So if you've already said this is what I believe in and I take this job, people might not understand why you're doing it. Somebody put on a comment on YouTube right now that how can a prophetess say she wants to become a queen in a palace, and they welcomed her with blood. Yeah, we asked that question. She chose to do it. Well, we've seen in the Bible where someone was told to marry a prostitute. A prophet was told to marry someone who is a known prostitute. Whatever instruction God gives you can be to go into a journey that is very, very difficult and God
tells me that I can be a king, that I should go. God has given me instructions that I can go and do the practices. Yes. That I still trust. No, it's my conversation. You didn't hear God when he was telling me.
So let's not judge anybody, right?
Let's not judge. Somebody God has approved the king that you should cut the neck off. Yes, go and do it, because I am your supreme being, and I've given you the authority to go and do it, because all of them are still subject to me. Let me take this call. I'll come to you, Nima. I'll come to you. I have a call. I'll come to you, Nima. I think it's Ade from London. Good morning. Are you there? You're alive. Go ahead, please.
Yes. What about the friend of the house, Oba Iwo? They used to have them.
Oba Iwo,
oh, yeah.
The king of the world. So that's an example. So I think it's very on the capacity or capability of the other. It can capture it like Oluwo is doing now. So if you go back now to any point, in another part of Nigeria, Kenya, you speak to their religion, not like that. But in some places in Southwest, it is possible, like for me, in to cooperate. You want your own shop. If you pastor, if you come to our school, you have to listen, you have to do the culture. The English ground will give it in at night, they will come back. You can't do what you do. That is the nature of it. If you can't do it, don't wear it.
Thank you.
Please let me take this quote. He says, can't trust, Chichi Unscripted on YouTube says, I can't trust a person who wants to serve two masters.
Nima, what are your thoughts? I didn't really hear what our last caller said, but he was talking about the above Igbo or something.
That you have to do the rights to get to the throne. And sometimes we all just think that, these rights are all bloodied and all of that. You have not done any rights. I know the ones
it's home video now. I mean,
no. The few I know is the seclusions. None of us have been into that seclusion with the Oba to see what they are doing, except what they tell us. And most of them remain superstitious.
Let me tell you what we see.
You know.
Let me tell you, no, it's not about...
Them
yes, they will be calabashing everywhere.
Yeah. So this ordinary must have been teaching. So that's what we all do.
Those are the things.
Yeah. So these things they still remain in myth. What I know is that certain things are just rites, tradition, periods and all training to prepare the king. In my own area, what I see most of the kings, even from Benin, the first sons do not see their father in public because they are kings to be, all of those things, just to put reverence to the stool. Nothing more that we know that we can verify and say, it's that person's child that
Nollywood
they
has
killed.
given us information.
If they are hiding,
abeg,
there's something to hide.
Nollywood has given us
Nollywood
information.
has
Let's
given
look
us
Nima. Hollywood
Hold on,
has given us
If they are
information.
Hold on.
hiding, there's something to hide.
Let's look for the historians who would document
They won't document.
exactly.
They won't tell us.
No, they kill history now. If not, by now, all of us would know.
No, but
our
no.
generation, by the time we're coming, they have not
That's
history
not
out
the
of our
African
books.
style. We will
So
never know.
they don't want you to know. So they want to keep it, shroud it in secrecy. And that's keeping it in secrecy is for you so that you always think, no, it's a dark thing. I remember the present king in my place when he wanted to ascend. Some people insisted, no, he cannot bring Islam again. And his own side, which is my mom's side, have always brought Islam to the throne from their very, very first ancestors who thought, these ways of killing, I don't want it, I want it to end on me. And he did, he paid the price. And so his children, and the person who took from him was from his cousin, and his own kids said, no, we will maintain tradition. And then one of them broke out and became Christian. And, you know, the clash just kept on of the faith in that place. But I think that I will say thank you to my own ancestors for fighting their fight. Because now, I will tell you for free that, you know, I am by default Muslim and as well as all my ancestors.
But if somebody in your family
if
becomes a Christian, who is also rightful person to the throne, how the clash, that's the problem. How do we separate this religion from culture?
Can we talk about a monarchy that is not too shrouded in secrecy? The British one that we see all the time.
But they said this now. Somebody called in and said that the British monarchy, they did not show us the dead body or how she was buried.
Anyway, what I'm going to say is I'm talking about some of the processes that are just in open. We have heard that the line of the Queen or King Charles is that because you know, one king abdicated or someone that was supposed to take the throne abdicated because at that time you could not be a king if you decide to be with a divorced person and the person he was in love with was divorced. So that is something he decided to do. I love her so much. I'm willing to step out from culture or from tradition. But now we have seen that over the years, the present king is married, he's divorced, and married to a divorcee. And that's because things have happened in between that time to bring about the change. So I guess for a lot of this new, because we're seeing a lot of them, many people have gone out of their local communities. They have gone to school. They are exposed. They have picked this religion, whether we like it or not. Nigerians are mostly Muslim or Christian or Muslim. And then they come back and they're saying, I respect this, but I'm coming with my new beliefs. We have people, we had traditional schools where they believed in killing twins. Today, we don't do that because someone brought in change. But I feel that when you decide to be the change maker, know that it will come with its repercussions. Some people will accept it and some people will push you out. And concerning this Ondo monarch, it may not necessarily be about Christianity if you look at it. It could be anything. He could have been a traditional ruler who things are happening, bad things are still happening in his community, and he will still be chased out.
We have to wrap up. Let's take a few comments on social media.
Yeah, let me quickly take this one. Jojo said, culture and religion are interrelated. We have to respect each other's beliefs. Somebody, Eddie A, says, there is a difference between removing bad culture and removing traditional worshipping.
Called from Kiflex says, anything you believe works for you, also give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Festus Akimboyewa says, whoever wants to be an Oba or traditional ruler needs to take the culture of his or her people and place into account. Otherwise, don't go there.
Shegun Oyeleke says, integrity. If you believe so much in what you believe in, you will opt out. It is not by force. And Nam says, I'm tired of people lying on Nigeria, saying blah, blah, blah. We don't feel... Okay, I don't think it's not related to this topic. It's not related to this topic. Correction, Christianity came from the Middle East, Jerusalem to be precise. I think that at the end of the day, people's belief is their belief. You cannot fight it. It's not whether it is fact or not fact.
It's the colonial in this community who brought it here. So
we have to
read your facts well.
This is obviously a conversation that can't end.
It cannot end. Because we need to talk about the colonial slavery.
Different angles. There's a cultural angle, there's a people angle, there's the importation of the religion angle, what was our forefathers doing before they came. There's so many parts of this conversation that we may never really get to today. But the point really is, before you become a traditional monarch, it's important that you weigh all the options. Your personal belief as a religion or the cultural beliefs of the people you're about to superintend over. I think that's the conversation.